If you're blaming your partner about a certain thing that your partner has done more than once, not always, but more than once, we tend to forget about that it was not really all at once. It was just that we remember those bad things that the other person did to you. And because it happened more than once, we forget about all the other times when the partner did not do that. We only remember the bad things, And we tend to say, you always do that. Hello everyone, this is Geoffrey Henderson, and thank you so much for coming to our YouTube channel. Really appreciate you guys being here today again. We just had our live video. We were going live basically last weekend. If you haven't seen it yet, you can check it out. It's on YouTube now because we are streaming on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So we're very excited about that. But anyway, we appreciate you guys being here today. So today we're going to talk about a shorter little topic, but I think it's an important one because I heard this so many times. I was also involved in that when I was previously in a relationship before sharing, and I kind of took this to my head and thought about that. And you know what? This may be something that I could talk about because I think this will be very interesting. Now, you're probably going to ask yourself, what is this guy talking about? What is the topic? Well, the topic is called You Always Do That. So you're probably going to think to yourself, what does that mean? It means exactly what it says. You always do that. This is one thing that I kind of noticed, especially during my relationship. And I kind of put some thought behind that and wonder and ask myself the question, why do we say that, especially to our significant other? I personally think that this phrase, you always do that, doesn't really come out of the conversation right away. This is something that maybe or most of the time usually happens down the line in a relationship. And it usually only happens, honestly, when there's a negative chemistry between the couple. Okay, it is basically playing the blame game. Also, looking at the problem of the relationship rather than the solution. Couples that are usually have a certain grudge against each other. They usually hold a lot of things inside of them against the other partner that is a negative, obviously, and what happens is that once the couple gets into an argument or a discussion or whatever, couples tend to say that you always do that. You always do that.
Don't make this about you.
About me? How can I make this about me? It's about you. It's always about you.
Perfect.
And the problem is that it is not always, it's just that we only remember the bad things. So if you're blaming your partner about a certain thing that your partner has done more than once, not always, but more than once, we tend to forget about that it was not really all at once. It was just that we remember those bad things that the other person did to you. And because it happened more than once, we forget about all the other times when the partner did not do that. We only remember the bad things, And we tend to say, you always do that. Okay? Isn't it funny that when you think about your life, and when you think about 10 years ago where you lived in a different country, you were with different people, or maybe you even think about your school when you were still going in high school or when you were going into elementary school, you always tend to remember the good things. Have you ever thought about that? We always see in the United States, we always say, the good old days, We tend to avoid the bad things or erase the bad memories out of our brain. But when it comes to the relationship and we have a discussion and we say to our partner, you always do that, we tend to only remember the negative things. It is the exact opposite of if you, for example, think about positive things in your past, in general, your childhood or something like that. Now, why is this? Why do we always tend about thinking about the bad things in a relationship? I'm talking about a bad relationship, okay? Not a positive, good relationship. It is because the relationship is not good, okay? I'll make this very clear. If you have a discussion with your partner and you tend to say a lot, you say to the partner, I don't like what you did. You always do that. You always do this. You always do that. You know what? I'll be very honest to you. You probably don't have a good relationship, okay? And you can close your ears and pretend that's not true what you just said to me. But honestly, if you say this a lot, you may have to really think hard of why you actually say that. Why do you say that, okay? Do you have an inner grudge towards your partner, okay? Deep down. Because if you say to your partner, you always do that, that means that you are holding something inside of you, a grudge against your partner that it has a permanent impact on you that you just cannot just simply forget. And because you cannot simply forget that inner grudge that you have, it always reminds you of telling your partner, once you have a negative relationship, you always do that, or you always say that, or you always do this to me, or always do this to me, okay? You really need to sit down with your partner and have an honest discussion. And if you cannot do this, I would highly recommend that you get some counsel regarding that. Because if this prolongs in your relationship and you have this over and over and over and over again, I'm telling you right now, it is just a matter of time until the balloon will burst and you will argue and you will get into an actual fight, maybe a physical fight. Maybe you're going to have so much resentment towards your partner. If you're married, believe it or not, this could also lead to divorce. If it grows and grows and grows, a lot of bitterness. If you have children in your life, trust me, they will be one day affected by that, So you really have to think it through, okay? If you're one of those people who say that you always do this, think hard, pause, think about what you're doing, think about the relationship, and if there's anything you can do to save it, then save it, okay? Sit down with your partner, have an honest discussion. Maybe there's a certain grudges you need to communicate about that. Talk these things out. Really come to the root of why you say this, okay? Maybe it is something within yourself that is the problem. Maybe you have trust issues on yourself, and now you think that your partner is the same way, so you don't trust that partner. You have a negative view on your partner. You have a certain amount of doubt towards your partner. Maybe you look down on your partner. If you go into a relationship with somebody, you have to both remember that you both are on the same level, okay? Of course, in a godly way, the husband is supposed to be superior over the wife, but it's not like in a down, demanding way, like I say what you're supposed to do, but in a loving way. Just as Christ loves us and he died for us because he sacrificed himself for us, in the same way, we as the bride, we have to honor him, we have to respect him, we have to trust him, we have to obey him, okay? There's a beautiful balance between the two, okay? When you always say that, think about this again, okay? If you say this a lot in your relationship, you know what? You really have to sit down, think about what you're saying, and think about the deeper meaning of that. Try to go to the core of why you say that, okay? Because there is a reason why you do that, okay? You got to find this out. I can only give you my advice, but at the end of the day, you have to find out why you say that, because it is not healthy in a relationship. You have an inner resentment or something towards your partner or towards yourself or towards your past or whatever, what brings you up of saying this to your partner, and you have to find this out. All right? Here we go. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate that. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And I see you next week. We're going to have a group chat next week, by the way. Peace out.